Hey everybody, this is a special video that I'm making with my buddy Burton here, and I'll introduce him in a second. But this is going out to not only my TTP family, but also to everybody watching on the YouTube channel, because and how this kind of came about was I started getting texts and messages in my private hidden Facebook group, the TTP private hidden Facebook group, where all of the members of the TTP family interact and communicate. And they kept telling me about PropStream. Brent, are you using PropStream? Have you talked to the guys at PropStream? What's going on with PropStream? And I was like, what is PropStream? And this is probably a month and a half ago. And so I started getting into it. I reached out, had a few different contacts within the industry, and found out more about PropStream. So started implementing it in my business. And found it is just absolutely bananas, the things that you can do with this website. And for the price of it and for what it brings, it was like a godsend, because I had always, in my business here in Phoenix, I had always had the advantage that I had my real estate license. And because of that, I had access to the MLS. Okay. And because I had access to the MLS, I could pull certain lists. I could make sure I was running really good comps. But the problem was when I started expanding my market space into stuff in north of Phoenix and south of Phoenix, like Flagstaff and Tucson, I didn't have the data that I needed to make the right decisions. So I kept getting skinnier and skinnier deals in those markets that weren't my own. Or if I wanted to go into a different market and kind of figure out what the values were, or if I was finding an opportunity in those markets, I didn't really know how to do that because I didn't have the MLS. Well, PropStream here, I mean, it sounds like an ad, but it's really not. We're going to go through exactly what this tool uses. But first, let me introduce you to Burton Alicondo. Are you there, bud? Can you say hello? Can you pop up? There he is. All right, I can't hear you. For some reason, your audio's off.
How about now? Can you hear it now? Perfect.
Good,
thanks for having me. It's good to be here. Appreciate you bringing us on board. I'm happy to hear that we've enhanced your business, and that's really what I'm here for. I'm here to show your students and your subscribers essentially, what we're all about. Because a lot of people have heard about us. I've seen the same forums. People are like, "What's this about?" And I'm a firm believer to show everybody what we're about. Once you see what we can do and how we can enhance your real estate business, hopefully then you'll try the trial period, check it out for yourself, and see the type of data that you can pull from us. So thanks for having me.
The awesome thing, and it's a couple of different things, because not only do you guys work with houses and multifamily, but you guys also work with with vacant land as well, which
absolutely
you've been using to my advantage a ton. So why don't we do this, because people are watching, they're like, what is going on? What are we talking about? Why don't we pull it up on your end, and let's start digging in and seeing some of the things that you can use here. Because Burton, I get this all the time. People say, I just don't know how to comp the properties. I use Zillow, I use Trulia, I use all these different things, but it doesn't seem accurate. It doesn't seem like I can adjust what the comps are, or I can really get like the best, most up-to-date information. And with your tool, you guys have, I mean, it's really kind of mind-blowing. You guys literally have how much equity you are estimating in each deal when you click on the detail page of these properties. It's crazy.
Absolutely. And so let's actually show everybody what we're talking about. So what I'll do is I'm going to jump into a random market. I'm here in Southern California, but we are a nationwide data provider. So let's just jump over to the east side, right? I'm going to go to Miami, Florida. I've never been there, but this is what ultimately happens. I search Miami. We're going to zoom in on the area, and then we're going to populate all the records that we've collected for you in Miami. So here we have 66,000 MLS records. You can see all the active, all the failed and sold. You have the pre-foreclosures, your foreclosures, and essentially we have 11 listings that you can go through. So let's say I'm in Miami and I'm looking for a property with a tax lien. So I can go ahead and click on my lien category and start going through them one at a time. or we
34,000 liens?
absolutely.
What does that even mean, Burton?
That there's a lot of here's what I like to call the smoke in the forest type of feel. These are people that obviously have a lien against their property, and if they don't pay off their lien, they're in for some trouble. And what I mean by that is these liens, if not paid off, can cause a pre-foreclosure. So I like this list because this is like that early distress, right? The fire
Mhm.
hasn't started yet, so the competition isn't really there, and not a lot of people are trying to go put it out. Right now, we're just trying to find that smoke in the forest, and then hopefully we can start a conversation with these homeowners and get that contract signed way before it goes into a notice of default or notice of
Yep.
trustee sale.
And just to pull it a little bit, I mean, I'm just looking at the top row here, and it's showing pre-foreclosures, it's showing auctions, foreclosures, cash buyers, liens, vacant, high. This was literally designed for real estate investors. This is designed for wholesaling. You know what I mean,
Absolutely.
right?
And what makes it cool is we can actually layer things using any of these categories. So
That's what I was going to say. So what I did here in Phoenix, and I've had phenomenal results with cold calling them, is I go vacant homes with liens, high equity, right? So
absolutely.
so being able to pull those and then narrow them down. I try to get it as narrow as possible because I want to go after very, very, very specific properties,
Right.
right? And it's been going phenomenal. I mean, we have been just I mean, we're getting it through the point now where we've got them skip trace, we're calling them, we're lead follow up, but these aren't people that are screaming at us to stop calling.
Absolutely. And it's funny that you said that because that right there, we can do it really quick in a matter of a few buttons. We search Miami, go to filter. We want vacant listings,
Mm-hmm.
lien information. So they have a lien, a tax lien, and then we obviously want that equity. So we can do like 60% or more in
Yeah,
equity. And in just a few clicks, we went from 10,000 results to 287 that
287.
meet
Click
your criteria.
click on one of those,
Absolutely.
Burton. Click on one
Let's
of
go
those
ahead and click
because
on one of
this
them.
is cool. So
So
I keep trying to point at things like people can see it, but if you look at
yeah, we have all
um,
these property data here. So there you go.
yeah, if you look at the top right of this is what I always look at. This is what I always look at is that opportunity, the estimated equity, right? Because I'm like, holy cow. Because you guys pull estimated, like, what do you guys do? You guys pull the mortgage and then you estimate how much is left on the mortgage, or is it just
Absolutely.
value
What we
versus?
do is we collect data from tons of different sources from the recording office, title
Mhm.
companies, mortgage companies. So every property has this layout, and that opportunity box is pretty much one of the most important boxes. It's going to tell you what they owe, what involuntary liens they owe, what the equity is that we've calculated, and if you were to cash flow this property, what would rent out on average. Now, all of this information is actually scattered in all of these tabs below. So, like beginning with property details, we're able to see the last sale information, when it was recorded. We're able to go to the mortgage information, transaction history to see that recording. So in this case, we can see that it sold because of property taxes. Makes sense. They probably did a cash offer, which is why there's no balance on that property. Usually when you pay cash, goes straight to equity. So being that that's the case, the equity would be based on our estimated value. So it's estimated value minus mortgage balance. But guess what? That's just based on the comps in the area that we gathered for you. But as we
Yeah,
mentioned, you don't have to go by our variables. See,
this
I'm a
is key.
skeptical
Yeah,
yeah. See, I'm a
yeah.
very skeptical person. I love technology, don't get me wrong, but when you're dealing with real estate, you got to have the evidence. If you're going to start telling people this is the ARV, you better justify that using listings. And so in every property, you get this comparables and nearby listings section, and it
Yeah.
allows you to run comps on 3 different levels. The first one being county recorded level. So we
Hmm.
can apply sell date range, bedrooms and bathrooms, like 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and essentially narrow down our results. And by doing that, we're able to get an estimated value, a better one. We can
So
see,
a couple of things just to interrupt here. A couple of things that I like doing, guys. If you're watching this and you're playing around with this tool, I like going 3 months back. If it's a traditional house, I like going 90 days back. That's going to give you the most accurate. I don't like putting in bedrooms and bathrooms because county by county, what I have found is they get it off. I like going square footage. Typically, the square footage is a better indicator than bedrooms and bath. And depending on what area you're in, there's a huge difference between the value of a 2-story versus a 1-story. I know here in Phoenix, it's a big difference. In hot areas, 1-stories are just cooler. The air conditioning bills are lower, utility bills. So people, well, they're more desirable. So this is just some tips as we're going through this. If I were to pull this myself, and I'll probably do a video pulling this stuff myself, the top list that we find, but I wanted to bring Burton on so that he, this is, he's the
Absolutely.
pro.
And
So,
just using those variables you mentioned, when we went back 90 days, I didn't apply square footage, but instantaneously we went from 100 results down to 20, and
yep,
now we have a new average sell price and a new days on market.
yep,
But what's really cool is, again, that's using county records within a half-mile radius. We have neighboring records, and I like this because, hey, you might come across a situation where you're dealing with a very uniquely designed property, or you're in a cul-de-sac, and only in that cul-de-sac these properties are built in a certain way. So running comps out of that area may be challenging, right? So what better way to look at the neighbors that were most likely built in the same time, have the same characteristics? Well, now you're able to see the 25 neighbors around the property, and you're able to see if any properties recently sold. Essentially, instead of using county records, you're using neighboring records to pull your comps.
mm-hmm,
And the last, but certainly not the least, is the MLS details. Now, you did mention that as a licensed realtor, most people have access to the MLS, but the moment you step out of your board, that's when it can get challenging. So at that point, you're probably going to need to partner up with a realtor or get a license in that area that you're now in and
right,
get access to the MLS. But with our platform, you don't need to do that. Here, we're showing you all of the MLS listings that were pulled from the board in Miami. So these are the most recent 150 properties located around our property. And so just like you did, now we can go 90 days back,
mm-hmm,
apply your square footage, we can decrease or increase the distance, and then we can even specify the status.
love it.
So just show me the
This is
sold listings.
incredible. No, because honestly, when I pull comps, I like looking at the solds, and my disposition manager likes looking at the solds, but the most important comps that I look at are the pending sales, because those are the
Absolutely.
properties that have sold and are under contract, the most recent, right? So you look for these things and you look to see which one of these are pending, which one of these are selling. Is this a hot area? and
Absolutely.
um and 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 that's just key for it. I don't know
We could
why it's
even
not
look
pulling
at,
up here.
it looks like we don't have one at the moment, but we also have active as well. And same idea. Like you want
Yep,
to know what's the competition around the corner. And here's a perfect example of number one. It's literally right around the corner. We have number two also right around the corner, listed for 299. So you're able to, like you said, compare the apples to apples. We can even go to the details. We'll open up a separate tab for you, so you can now see that property's MLS details and see why it's being listed for that amount. And
yep,
you'll also be able to see their sell amount and so forth. So every property in our system has this layout, whether it's the second property we just clicked on or the third property we're
mm-hmm,
clicking on. We're going to show you all of the activity. In this case, not only does this property have a lien, but there's a foreclosure and a bankruptcy recorded on the property. It's also on the market and it recently failed, so there's some desperation there. And now we can run our comparables and see if it's even worth our time and energy at this point.
awesome. And the other thing is, when you go in, you can pull so that you're not going after corporate owned properties, right?
Absolutely, and that's
Yeah, yeah,
located
yeah,
in our filter
yeah,
under
yeah.
the
Yep,
ownership info, so we
yep.
can isolate just
That
the
is
individually
huge when
owned
it comes to
properties.
everybody that wants to go out there and talk to people, because those are the list of people that you can get the phone numbers for. Oftentimes, you're not going to get those LLCs or the corporations or whatever else. Plus, if you're anything like my business or some of my students, you go after these people that own 50 houses. This one's totally beat to hell, but they don't want to sell it at a discount because they just don't need to. They have the wherewithal, they have the financial means to be able, and the resources to be able to fix those up. So it's, you chase after your tail a little bit when you go after these people that own a ton of properties. So I highly, highly, highly suggest that you filter it for individuals, and you filter it for high equity, and then you start playing around with some of those distress signals, right? Some of those, is it
Absolutely.
is it vacant? Is it a foreclosure? Is it pre-foreclosure? It doesn't just have high equity in an area, right? And is it owned by a corporation or an individual? Hopefully, an individual. So it's slick, man. It's really
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely. And again, I mean, there is a learning curve, right? It's all about the type of leads that you're looking for. But as you get more advanced in this system, as Brett was saying, you're going to be able to start doing more advanced type of searches. So we can do things like find me a property with a lien, single family. It's not on the market, right? Because I
Yep.
don't want them to sign a contract with the broker.
Yep.
It's individually owned for maybe 5 years or more, so they were committed. And now there is a tax lien of about 15,000 minimum or more against that property.
Yep.
And we want to end it by making sure that there's equity in there for us. So in a matter of a few moments, we
Well,
literally
you
went
put a
from,
$150,000 lien, by the way.
oh, I
And
did. Well, yeah,
yeah, that's
let's
why it
change
might get a
that.
little bit
Ooh,
crazy there, but
that might get very, very crazy. Yep, you're right. I did. Let me
yeah.
separate one more zero.
Yep.
We get better results now. So there you
Well,
go. And
and this is important because this is not just for, okay, I got a deal, let me comp it, let me look at all the information about this property, let's make sure that I'm speaking to the right homeowner, let's make sure that I understand, is this a deal or no deal, which is the toughest thing when you start. The two toughest things when you start wholesaling property is it a deal or no deal, and how big of a deal is it? So you've got this tool that you can start playing around with. You can see, they can start really configuring and looking at and getting specific into the way that you value the properties. But second, what we're really talking about, what we've kind of, we kind of crossed a little bridge here, which is we're going to, oh wait, you can use PropStream to pull lists, to market to.
absolutely.
Right? So this is huge, because listen, if I'm in a different market, if I'm outside of Phoenix, this is what I'm using PropStream. I'll tell you what I'm using PropStream for right now. I'm using it for everything that's out of my market that I don't have access to the MLS. And I'm using it to look up a lot of information on a lot of vacant land that I'm making a lot of money from. And I'm using it to pull very specific lists that I can't pull from other places. So that's what I'm using PropStream here for right now. Now, if you don't even have access to the MLS in your market, this is a must. This is crucial. You need to have something that you're relying on to be able to. And by the way, guys, these guys have been around since 2004, right? When did you guys? When did it start? It was early.
It was a philosophy in 2004. We finally started actually building the platform in 2005. So for the last
There.
14 years,
Yeah,
yeah, we've
14
been
years of
collecting data for you guys.
not only collecting data, but collecting a lot of complaints and a lot of failures. And you
Absolutely.
guys aren't a new company. This is not some
No.
little new company that's just propped up and is doing some stuff and has a ton of glitches. You guys are like a real business that's been around for a long time. You guys have been around for a long time because a lot of people use you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this, what you see now is fairly recent. This is something that we invested in the last few years. It's been out for about 12 months now, but yeah, this is everything. We've dumped millions of dollars into it, but ultimately, I like to say this is about 7 different websites in one. And I say
Right.
that because, again, MLS, that's a separate website you have to go through as an agent. Pre-foreclosures, you got to go to the county's website or visit the county directly. Same with liens, right? That comes from the county. Vacant comes from the postal office, so you'll have to go to their website. And then just that alone, once you get into the details, we're talking about more information. So mortgage information comes from mortgage companies. That's a separate website. Transaction history, title information, that comes from a different website. So this is literally 11 different sources and about
Yeah.
7 different websites all working as once, but not only working as once, but we have created patent algorithms so we can take that information to calculate mortgage balance,
Mm-hmm.
equity, monthly rent, and give you the ability to stack those leads, whether it's a pre-foreclosure that failed on the market or a high equity property with an adjustable rate mortgage of 10% or more. There are so many types of searches that you can do, all because, like you said, we've had our failures and we've had our success and we've learned. And we're not somebody that just showed up,
Yeah.
months ago and
Yeah.
here you go. This is 14 years of just constantly battling and working out those kinks here and there.
Well, and I think you're right. I think that, something very common when people are starting out is they go to their recorder's information or their tax recorder's information, to pull the legal description on the property, to pull the assessor parcel number, to be able to find who the actual owners are. You guys have it all right here when you click
Yep.
on this. I mean, I laugh
Absolutely.
a little bit because when I opened up this 6 weeks ago and was looking at it, I was like, oh my gosh, this has been around. Like, I didn't even
Yeah.
know. I really didn't even
And
know that you had all this. You see when they bought it, you see all the, and you could click along the top here and look at the mortgage information, look at their documents, look at the
absolutely.
reports. Look, I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. And you can look at some of those things, but you don't even, I mean, you don't
And
even
again,
need to
I mean,
buy
we've
them.
we've built a huge network of data providers that some people have asked, like, well, how do you know that that's the mortgage balance? Where are you getting that information from? And I'll say, let me show you. You go to property details,
Yep.
and we know what the property sold for on county records, right?
Yep.
So in 2003, someone paid 205 for it on paper,
Mhm.
but the actual mortgage that was reused is right down here.
Yep.
So there was a down payment clearly in 2003. Here's the interest rate, and we know the term. So we know the variables in 2003. We reverse calculate for you,
Right.
and that's how we're able to calculate the current mortgage balance. We also make sure that there's no other activities. So if they pulled out an equity line of credit, that also gets calculated in the mortgage balance. So
Mhm.
what we're showing you is that, hey, if they've been paying the minimum on this loan from 2003, they're hovering at a $92,000 balance plus or minus
Yep.
with a lien that they have to worry about. But don't worry about that, because if you pay for all of those, you still have a lot of equity on the property. So right now we're staring at a very great potential wholesale property right now.
And it's an individual that owns it. It's owner occupied, which isn't as strong as like a rental property. But maybe they're ready to go. They've got this lien on there for a reason. You know what I mean? They got a low. How do they have a low mortgage balance and they have a lien on it for $18,000? Something is not adding up here. Anybody watching this video, you better
Absolutely.
go after this property if you're in Miami,
Exactly, right?
right? Like,
All
geez,
right. But
get
that's
Trace this
ultimately it.
address right
And
now.
in
What are you
in
doing?
literally a few seconds using the filter without even calling the owner, we have a lot more information. And then guess what? That's 10, 15 minutes of a conversation we don't need to have anymore. We're not calling the owner and asking about mortgage balances or stuff like that. We already well involved of what's happening. Now it's, hey, we're here to provide solutions.
Yep.
And maybe we might want to ask what the correct amount is. I mean, again, we do calculate. So if they've been making extra payments every year, or they, in some cases, may have missed payments, and that's why they're in pre-foreclosure, that could be slightly off. So at least we kind of get an idea where they should be. And then once we call the owner, we're not thrown off guard. Well, my mortgage balance is 120,000. You're not going to get caught off guard. So that's what I really like about our platform is we have this information right now. So when we call the owner, we're not thinking, okay, comps are great. They only owe $20,000 in a lien. And then when we call them, they say, oh yeah, my balance is $400,000.
Right.
Well, now we have to walk away. But guess what? We skip trace them. We
Yep.
sent them a postcard. We
Yep.
voicemail dropped them just
Yep.
to find out that it wasn't even worth it,
Right.
right? So that's what I really love about our platform is it's just not one source of records. In this case, county records, title information, and with everything there, we're able to calculate where we believe the property is currently sitting in its current situation right now.
Well, this is real life. Like, no joke. What I've been doing is when a new deal. So this is how my business works, Burton, and everybody watching. We get a lead coming in from either the phone prospector or text blasting. One of the two. One of the ways that we get it. It goes to my lead manager. My lead manager makes sure that we have as much information as possible on the four pillars of pre-qualifying, which is condition of property, timeline to sell, motivation to sell, and the price that they want. Okay. Then, if we have that, it goes to our acquisition managers. Now, what my acquisition managers would usually do is spend a lot of time calling up the people, trying to get a bunch of information, trying to understand, is this a deal or no deal? Now, I have them pull up the properties on PropStream, put it into our notes in our CRM that we have, and then if it gets close to it, if we're getting close to signing up a deal, it's a good deal. We make sure we go to my disposition manager. He checks it by running the comps himself, and they have been so close, my man. I am telling you, it is a huge advantage to not, for your acquisition managers to not have to wait for somebody to comp the property before they start this whole process of really getting the contract signed. It
Absolutely.
is huge. It is cutting down the timeline so fast. And it gives them confidence to know they look at these deals, they get these leads now, Bert, and they go, oh my gosh, it's got 300,000 in equity. This is going to be a home run.
And I like that
I'm going to
because
lock this thing up.
it literally got them energetic, right? Like,
Yes.
could you imagine
Yes.
prior to that, they were like, oh, I got to make this call and I got to ask these sensitive questions and someone might yell at me or they might hang up on me. Now, like you said, they see that, they see a potential, they're energetic. And I think that plays a big role because now when they're picking up that phone call, that energy is going to shine right through, right? So
Yep.
very, very big, not just with knowing what to look, I mean, knowing the information prior to making that call, but I think it's also a huge motivator. And I want to bring up what you said, running comps, because that's a big thing. And I forgot to mention that, you know, being that we have access to the MLS, there are some challenges with running comps. And one perfect example I want to give you is actually, let's use Texas, for example. Dallas, Texas. The reason why I'm using Texas is because Texas and 13 other states are known to be called non-disclosure. And what that means is that they don't really provide sale data correctly. It's an estimate. And I'll see if I can give you an example here. All right, let's see if I can find a property
Oh,
with
yeah.
a great example of estimated value. Okay, so here it is, estimated value.
It's
Here's
like an
what
apartment
you
complex.
want to pay attention to. So when we're looking at that one doesn't show sell date. See, this is the problem with Texas. You're going to see lack of sell date, but let's see. Okay, here's one we have. Here's the thing. So sell amount in Texas, it's a non-disclosure. And if you Google non-disclosure, what it means is that these 14 states don't have to give you the sell recorded amount. They don't have to give it to you. It's withheld from you. So if you're
Yeah.
running comps at a county level, you're not going to get that information. So most of these are going to be, as you can see here, sell amount 195 in 2002, but it's an estimated sell price. And the reason why it's an estimate is because we got it from a title company. We don't want to just listen to the title company. If it's not from the county, we're not going to consider it accurate, right? So now that we know that in Texas and these 14 states have estimated prices, how do I run a comp on this property? Well, you use just the MLS details. And here's what I like about it. When you look at an MLS property and you go to the sold, so let's say I want sold listings in the last 3 months. Here's the cool thing about the MLS details is it's not from the county. So we can click on a property, go to the details of that property. And what I personally like doing once we're in that property is go to the MLS details and we can see what it was listed for
Yeah.
and what it actually sold for.
Hmm.
So that's the cool thing is, so the county doesn't give us this information, this sell amount that I've highlighted here. The county won't do that in these non-disclosure states.
Yeah.
MLS, if you're a licensed realtor, you have access to it. And we have access to that because we aggregate from the MLS. So
Yeah.
again, you don't have to call a realtor to
Hmm.
get the MLS comps in a non-disclosure state. You just go straight to the comparables, MLS, and now you can filter. And what I would do is obviously ignore these two boxes because they're not accurate sell prices and
Right.
just focus my comps on just the MLS.
MLS. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I did want to bring that up because tons of people have called
What
about
about
that.
pulling in those states? Can you pull whether it's owner occupied or non-owner?
Absolutely. Once you
Yeah.
search the area, you can go to filter, and that's the first option here at the top.
Yep.
So we can do all owner occupied MLS that sold, and we can put the last 6 months or
Love
so.
it. Yep.
Absolutely. And what I also like is because we have access to the MLS, you also have access to some photos as well. So
Mm-hmm.
you'll be able to click on the property and see the rehab
Ah,
done and get an
yeah.
idea why it was listed at that price. So you can see the new granite countertops in the bathroom, in the kitchen. You can see the wooden floors, the new drapes, any paint that was done recently. So not only am I able to see what it listed for and what it sold for, this is a rental property, but
Yeah.
you're also able to see what the property's rehab looked like at the same time. So here's
Got it.
one listed for 335 but sold for obviously $40,000 more. And I'm sure the pictures are going to tell us why. We're going to be able to see some nice interior. Yep, you can definitely see that not only is this a
Hmm.
great comp for us, but guess what? I like to also consider this a potential buyer, right? Who would be doing that type of rehab on a property?
Yep. And look at their mailing address. It's right there.
There you go. So yeah, there's a lot of information. And again, we were just using this property because it was a potential comp on the MLS. And lo and behold, we
Well, they
potentially
just
found
bought
a
this.
buyer. Yeah.
They bought this. They're owner occupied. But if you catch the ones that were bought by corporate, if you look for corporate purchases that were cash, then you can get the mailing address for them and try to get a hold of them. That is awesome.
You know, Brent, speaking of that, do you want me to
Yep.
show you a method of finding cash buyers that you're not going to see in any other platform?
Let's do it.
All right. So
Let's do it.
what city do you want me to search your buyers in?
Let's go Phoenix. Let's go,
All
man.
right, let's do Phoenix. I'm going to blow your mind right now. So cash buyers, we have that recording, and it's just showing all the properties that were sold in cash, right? And so
Yeah.
your traditional cash buyer filter goes like this. So we've searched Phoenix, we're going to filter cash buyers, and we're going to look for non-owner occupied buyers, right?
Yep.
Makes sense?
Yep.
Then we can specify like single family property
Do
and
it.
secure
Yep.
built and whatnot. And then this is where most people pretty much wrap it up. They say, okay, find me a buyer that bought the property within the last year, right?
Yeah.
So just buyers within the last year, July 15th. Here are my 23,000 results, right? Now, obviously, I can narrow it down by adding more characteristics, but
Sure.
ultimately, even with that, it's still fairly large. So let me show you something that no other platform has. And what I'm about to show you right now is going to show you the real flippers. Okay, so here's how you want to do it. First thing you want to do is search the area.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to do Phoenix.
Yep.
And we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to take it a different direction. So we're going to do non-owner occupied cash buyers.
Yep.
But this time I'm going to specify a date range. And I'm going to say I want these buyers to have bought the property between, let's say, August of last year to December of last year. So they bought it
Mm-hmm.
within that 4-month time frame.
Mm-hmm.
And then they rehabbed it. And then they listed it sometime after the new year.
Okay.
So they bought it and then they listed it.
Yep.
It's not a rental. And I'm going to go ahead and hit apply. And here's why I like this. I have 65 results. Why
Yep.
do I like this? Because I'm able to click on the property
Mm-hmm.
and see the cash sale tab, see what they bought it for and when they bought it.
Yep.
And I get to see who the buyer is and their address.
Yep.
And now I get to see what they're flipping it for as well. And then we can see the property. Now this one's taking a loss, or they might have bought it with a, being that it's corporate, they probably bought more than one
It's
property.
open door. Yeah.
Yeah. So
They
let me
never
do
fail.
this. Let me find the individual buyers. Let me make
Yep.
this a little bit more juicy for us.
Yep.
Perfect.
There we
So here
go.
we go. So we have a buyer here that spent $355 in cash in
Mhm.
December and is now listing it for $565,
Woo!
right? And we get to see his rehab. So not only do I know this individual's buying power,
I
I know
love
what
it.
he's going to list the property for, and this is
Yep.
all of the
What
rehab
kind of
that he
product he
did.
does? Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely, and all of that information. So Timothy, my man over here,
And there's his mailing address.
bingo.
Boom!
That's why I like our platform, because what we're now doing is we're taking this category of
Yep.
cash bought properties and crossing it over with an M. Now, this is something a realtor could have done for us, right? But how
No,
long do you think they would
no,
have
they
taken to
can't.
get back to
Listen to me.
us?
No, they can't.
Oh, oh, even better, right?
Wow.
So this is going to show you those margins. So that first one is making
Incredible.
$200,000. What about this guy? 580, flipping it for 1 million bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Holy moly! I'm going to give Troy a call over here and add him
Yep.
to my buyers. And again,
Yep.
every one of this is going to show you
Yep.
that the
Especially
difference.
if I got a deal in that neighborhood
Yeah,
and I'm looking for cash buyers, boom, you pull up this within that specific area, and now you're just calling them up, right?
absolutely.
Now you're just
Or
calling them up.
the opposite, because I've always heard people say, "Well, what do I do? Do I find buyers or do I find sellers first?" And I'll tell you right now, you can go any angle, but
Right.
I do like this angle because
Good point.
not only do I have my 20, but I have their characteristics as well. I know what they're looking for. So
Yep.
in this guy, in Timothy's case, he likes the 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, this type of square footage,
Awesome.
and built in 1985. So if I
Awesome.
can find a property with those similar characteristics, guess where I'm sending my postcards to, guys?
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yep.
wanted to show you that because I've worked with a lot of systems. I've been in data for like 6 years now, and I've yet to see any platform that's allowing you to do that. Again,
Uh,
most people just take cash bot records within the last 6 months or a year, non-owner occupied, and then start attacking that list. In this case, we're able to do the same thing, but say, well, are any of them using the MLS right after they buy it? And here you go.
Yep. Love it. Incredible. It's incredible. I
Absolutely.
love it. Well, that's awesome. I think we've been going for like a half hour, so we won't give everything to everybody,
Absolutely. Yeah.
but
Let's keep the secrets a little bit.
no, it's not that, because you guys give free trials, so that's
And
unbelievable.
that's why
I'll
I
put the link.
wanted to show this video, because I'm a firm believer, especially now, showed
Yeah.
you guys this awesome method of finding buyers anywhere in the United States.
Yep.
You got to use our platform to do it, though. So make sure you guys try out that 7-day trial period, because
Yep.
it's going to really help you out.
Yeah, and then once it goes, just guys, just to give you some an idea, it's $90, right? $90 a month.
It's 97, yeah, but
90.
versus our house price. So don't sign up directly through us.
Right.
Make sure you guys sign up through Brett. You
Yeah.
guys get a discounted price. It's $97 a month
Yep.
for unlimited searches
Yep.
and 10,000 exports. So you can export 5,000 liens, 5,000 vacant properties in a
A
30-day
month.
time frame. A month, right?
A
And every
month.
month
Yeah.
we give you
Incredible.
another 10,000 to download.
Yeah. Check out that link, guys. I'll post it in the video here, or if it's on social media, I'll put it in the post. But man, this is better than I thought it would be. I mean, not that I didn't, but I learned right there something
There
about
is a
cash buyers.
lot. And
There's a
it's funny that you
lot.
said that, Brent, because till this very day, people call me and I'm new strategies. Like here's one that caught me off guard last month.
Yeah.
Um, this contract, he's a roofer, doesn't wholesale, doesn't invest. He's just looking for properties that need a new roof. So what he was doing was owner occupied MLSs that were built between 1980
Yep.
in 1990, right? Because he's looking
Yep.
for that 25,
Yep.
30-year time frame. And they just
I
sold
think you
this
put
year.
1900 there, buddy.
Yeah, you're right. It did put 1900 in there. Let's do 1980 to 1990. Up, going too fast here.
There you go.
1980. And then he was looking for all the properties that sold on the MLS. So again, he's a contractor. He was not trying to flip properties. He's just trying to look for people that just bought a property recently, and
Awesome.
that property is between 1980 and 1990. And he had, in this case, in your area, it would be 800 potential people that he can call and provide roofing service for.
Yep.
Other methods I've seen, another gentleman who was a lender, what he was doing is he would go straight into high equity and then look for people that had an adjustable rate mortgage
Mm-hmm.
at 8% or more, and they've lived in their property for 7 years or more. So
Incredible.
there are so many, again, angles that you can take. That
Yeah.
filtering is going to be your best friend. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, you guys are going to have questions. Make sure you guys go to the help tab and you have our email, you have some video tutorials, but most importantly, you have our customer support line. We don't hide from you guys. So you're going to be able to
Yeah.
speak to me directly or any of our customer support staff here.
I love it, man. We use it every day. I mean, honestly, I didn't even know about it. I mean, I literally was pushed towards you guys from my TTP family, like from the people that the students that I have in my program brought me to it. They're like, Brent, you got to be using this. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So, if that's the case, I mean, that's what really started this whole journey, and it's been phenomenal. I literally have Eric downstairs, like dissecting and networking with everybody around the country on how best to use this. He's a young guy. He loves doing the search. He loves pulling all these things. And we've been trying out all sorts of different lists and cash buyers and all sorts. I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, it's heavy. This thing is super, super heavy with information, and it's incredible, especially if you're trying to expand to other areas, or if you're not an agent, if you're just out there getting your first few deals, you start putting together, okay, what are the tools that I need to be successful? Guys, this is it. It's fine to use Zillow and Truly and all these things for a free little look at what the values are, but this gives you so much more. This rounds out everything else that you need. I mean, really, it really rounds out everything else that you need when it comes to due diligence and pulling some really, really amazing lists.
Absolutely. And we didn't even scratch the surface technically. I mean, we still
Oh,
have skip tracing that you can do. So once we build our buyers list, we can directly skip trace them and get you their contact information. And we have the campaign section where you can send postcards, ringless voicemails, and emails directly from the system. So not only are
Awesome.
you able to build a list, but get their contact information within about 10, 15 minutes, and then start marketing to them directly. So there's a lot that our product has to offer to you guys. But yeah, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
That's a lot. That is a lot. And for anybody asking out there, I do still, and no disrespect to you, I know that the skip tracing is new. I still rely on batch skip tracing to pull mine. I actually
Awesome.
export and put it into them. Just
And
because,
actually, I appreciate
yeah,
you bringing that up because we are very open-minded about that. And so if you guys are going to be using a different provider, any properties that you save will go into the properties page. You can click on them and hit the export button here at the top right, and we'll export it onto a CSV file for you so you can take it to your different providers.
right.
Or if you, let's say, want to use our marketing, but you are using a different provider for skip tracing, once you get your results, you can go to our contacts page and import that list back into our system, and then we can go send postcards to that or
Cool.
voicemails to it. So yeah, we're very open-minded about taking our data out or bringing in data from a different provider as well.
Awesome. You're the man. I appreciate it, guys. Everybody out there watching, check it out. I'll put the link to go to get the pricing that we mentioned in this. It's phenomenal. It is absolutely a must-have if you've got it in your budget. If not, then work to get your first couple deals and then get this tool. It'll change your life. You're gonna be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know this was available like I did. Anyway, and I've been in this thing
Absolutely.
for a while. So really appreciate it, Burton. Yeah,
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure.
I
Thanks
guess
for having me. I
I
hope
guess
you have yourself a
until
good one.
next time, guys. I'll see you in the next video. See ya.